What it do, what it does. I'm Lil Lo, and I was more entertained by the Grammys this year than I have been in a while. This Grammys felt a little bit different, and I think that's for a series of reasons that I want to get into. But first, I want to just give out some superlatives of things that I enjoyed the most, things that made me raise my eyebrow. And I want to start with best performance. I was super, super, super fucking surprised by who had the best performances, in my opinion, because there's two elements for me for best performance. And the first is the vocal ability, the performance, the talent of the person performing. And then there's staging, what have you put together? What are we looking at? And what is the quality of those things? And so for best performance, I actually have two performances. So in terms of best vocal performance, I have Lola Young with Messy, actually. And what surprised me is that her performance was very restrained and sort of dialed back compared to the other people in her category. She did a really good job at showing I have talent without gimmicks. You could tell that the room was also moved by her performance. And I think it's because it's a room of her peers, right? I think that obviously everyday people like myself and yourself can identify with that song. But I think that the people in that room also have a certain degree of not being able to showcase the fullness of who they are because of what they do for work. And I think that they really identified with that song as well. And most importantly, she sounded amazing. She sounded great. I was like, I need to listen to more Lola Young coming off of that performance. You ready for the surprising one? The best staged performance, the performance I actually enjoyed the most, me, Lil Lo, was Tyler, the Creator. And I'm not the biggest fan of his, and I'm holding on to a couple of qualms that span decades, but that performance was impeccable. That was an amazing performance to the point where today's a new day, and I'm still trying to figure out how exactly he pulled it off. He commanded the room. Everybody could not stop watching that performance. I couldn't stop watching it from home, but you could tell that the audience was really, really captivated by what he was doing. He had the Regina King talking about the importance of progress and moving forward and staying the course. The Regina King who lost her only child recently. And so it really resonated when you know who you're looking at and what they're trying to say to you. It felt personal, even though it wasn't. He does also address the elephant in the room. There's been a recent controversy with Tyler, the Creator, where he posted a heartfelt tribute to D'Angelo, and his fan base was kind of like, who the fuck is that and who the fuck cares? And we saw for the first time publicly people sort of trying to reconcile Tyler, the Creator, the person, with Tyler, the Creator, who has sort of created and maintained this fan base, who is now coming back to not even respect one of Tyler, the Creator's biggest influences, even in their death, and what that meant for how he had to reconcile with the people that he essentially galvanized and enabled this whole time. And I do feel like a great degree of that was addressed in his performance. Most specifically, they say that Tyler, the Creator, has a career of anti-Blackness, and he addresses the anti-Blackness in the beginning. Now, what I can say is I listened to Chromacopia, but not religiously like a lot of these folks did. So I don't know if those were the original lyrics and they were on the album and chose to include them because he wanted to address this at this moment, or if there were some tweaks made there. I'm not absolutely sure. I can't attest. But it is very clear in his performance that he is ending sort of that Chromacopia era and entering the Don't Break the Glass era. Because, I can't implore you enough. If you have not seen the performance, you should go watch the performance. But he is in his Chromacopia gear. He's addressing the anti-Blackness, that sort of thing. Then it cuts to him at a mechanic shop, and Regina King is the mechanic. And she's telling him about, don't look in your rear view, move on. He gets in that car in the Don't Break the Glass garb and drives it into the Chromacopia Tyler, the Creator, which is why I'm more specifically saying, I don't even know how he pulled it off, but he did. And then that version of Tyler, the Creator is sort of laid out on the stage for everyone to see. He is in both versions of Tyler, the Creator, holding a stick of dynamite. Why do I keep saying don't break the glass? Don't tap the glass. So while they're carrying Chromacopia Tyler, the Creator off of the stage, don't tap the glass. Tyler, the Creator grabs the stick of dynamite from him while he's on the stretcher. And it's sort of like a passing of the torch, literally, but also like a I've got it from here type of thing. That Tyler, the Creator, is carried off of the stage, the Chromacopia one, and presumed deceased, right? He's been hit by a car and been laid out this whole time. Don't Tap the Glass, Tyler, the Creator, then does a performance, meets a young lady, gas spills everywhere because they're at a gas station, mechanic shop, whatever you have it. He then takes the dynamite and walks into the building, and the building blows up. And while you're assuming that Don't Tap the Glass, Tyler, the Creator, is also now dead, he comes out, he's smoking and he's tore up. He then comes out and passes out in the literal audience of the Grammys. And I thought it was a really profound way to say that I am ending this era of my life going into this one. And to me, it's not easy to dismiss the fact that he took the dynamite into the building to protect the other people who were on stage so that they did not have to deal with what would happen when it blew up. I mean, he could be presumed dead in the audience. Not exactly sure about that, but still managed to make it out of that situation, at least the explosion within the building, alive. And there's something there about the protection of others. If you watch Will Trent, it was very cricket-esque. Then we have the acceptance speeches. And I love a good acceptance speech. I also love a bad acceptance speech, to be quite frank, ones that aren't well put together. Like, I live for chaos. I live for having to go off the fly. And that makes it obvious that my favorite acceptance speech was Cher. Like, Cher is the embodiment of chaotic good, and I live for Cher. I love Cher. And so she got up, she got a Lifetime Achievement Grammy. She was also supposed to announce Record of the Year. She accepts her award and walks off stage, and Trevor Noah's like, Cher, could you announce the nominees, please, before you go? The song that wins is Luther by SZA and Kendrick Lamar, and she announces that the winner of the Grammy is Luther Vandross. And you could tell that her confusion was genuine. Like, she had not been on the Grammy stage, and I think they said at least 18 years. She was basically like, thanks for this award before I literally croaked. Thanks for that. She sort of talks about the industry and how there's super high highs and there's super low lows. And you could tell that her gratitude as well as her confusion were genuine. And she really did, even in the midst of this chaos, balance that gratitude with the message that she was trying to get across to other artists. Bad Bunny was also a really good speech. Bad Bunny always kills it. Without doing too much, he really expressed that his award was for everyone who had to leave their home country to find success in the thing that they're passionate about. How big of a decision it can be to follow your dreams out of the country that reared you. And he didn't sound resentful at all, but he really brought awareness of that fact to the room, which I think is something that very few people who are not Bad Bunny can do without sounding preachy. I also wonder how impactful Bad Bunny's speech was to people who aren't bilingual. I speak Spanish, so it was very moving to experience. I also kind of have a question here of who used their moment best without over-explaining it. And for me, that person, surprisingly enough, not because I'm not a fan of this person or because I don't like their music, but they just sort of surprised me in doing this, was Olivia Dean. She thanked her grandparents who were immigrants. She said, I'm a grandchild of immigrants. And she described migrating as an act of bravery. And I really, really loved that framing. And while I don't necessarily think that it's intentional, because Olivia Dean is British, if I'm not mistaken, calling immigrants brave in the land of the free, home of the brave, was really impactful in a way for me that I just didn't expect. And again, I loved the framing. Now, with all the good comes the bad. My least favorite acceptance speech. There were people who seemed unprepared for the moment. That's not necessarily what I'm talking about. It was more so like, okay, what do we do with this? And that person, even though I love you down, girl, and we are the same sign, Scorpio till we die, is SZA. When she went up with Kendrick Lamar and others to accept the award for Luther for Record of the Year with Cher on stage, I got where she was trying to go with it, but it just didn't, I don't think it landed well. She started with sort of like, this is what happens when you get a bunch of nice people on stage. We're all like, you go, you accept it. And it was just kind of like, get to the speech. And then she tried to give a message of hope. Again, I really get where SZA was going with it, but it was kind of like, we've survived tough times before. We'll survive them again. Don't be discouraged. But the way that it was presented was not as concise as I just presented it. And it didn't really leave room for the discussion around like, these are truly unprecedented times. We've had bad times before. Yes. We've made them through them before, yes, but this is a different type of bad time. I can't even say objectively whether or not this bad time is worse because I wasn't there for those. Well, I've been there for some bad times, but the times we're talking about, it just felt like it could have been an opportunity to galvanize people and tell them, you know, don't give up hope, but maintain resistance. And instead, it almost felt like we'll be okay because we've always been okay. And like, you know, the whole as long as we have each other type of thing. And I don't think that that is necessarily the energy that the anti-ICE movement is trying to portray right now. I guess she was trying to be sweet. It just felt a little out of touch. And so for that reason, she's my least favorite speech. And not even because necessarily she said anything wrong. It just like, it didn't land well with me. And I like SZA, so I can't imagine folks who don't like SZA and how it landed with them if they're part of the resistance. Now, I don't claim to be a fashion god, but I do have two people for best dressed. And Doechii, come get your baddie, Shane, girl. You looked fucking amazing. I am constantly stunned by Doechii's beauty, but God damn, she looked amazing last night. I don't know if y'all got an opportunity to see her. She had her hair up. She had this dress that was almost, well, it wasn't necessarily a dress, a shirt and a skirt that was made of like these beautiful beads. I'm going to put it up here if I can get a picture of it. She looked stunning. 10, 10, 10, 10, 10. I don't even have like any critique, just fucking fantastic. And I also have Trevor Noah in this blue suit that he had on closer to the end of the show. It was just clean as fuck. Like, I was like, whoo, I like that. I like that on him. I loved it. He looked good as fuck. I wanted to include at least one man in best dress. So there you go. Now, I also have a what the fuck moment category where I'm asking myself, what performance left me with more questions than answers? And I actually have two, and they were part of the same performance. And I'm sorry, I know y'all love these girls. I know you love them down, and I think they're gorgeous, and I think that they're talented, and I think that we've been made to see their talent. So I'm confused as to what the fuck is going on with Cat's Eye. What the fuck is going on with Cat's Eye? I mean, the choreography is always fun. The girls always look fucking great, but the music constantly leaves me so confused. And I'm the person who's like, oh, well, we need more music for tweens, but like, that's not even tweens music because tweens shouldn't be saying like a bag of Takis on the shit. Who the fuck is back there writing the music? We as a stretch, y'all watched a show where we showed how talented and committed to art these girls are. For them to be coming out with just the weirdest, strangest music and then being made to perform it at the Grammys, where everybody's operating at such, to my knowledge, everybody's operating at such like a high level of artistry. It almost felt like a humiliation ritual. It was very, very, very strange. And these are grown women, correct? We can't find better things for them to like perform. We can't find better ways for them to showcase their talent. And like, I get it, that gnarly song was a hit over the past year, but like, what the fuck is going on, I guess? Just what the fuck is going on? The second one is Addison Rae, who as a TikToker myself, I know that she's a big name and she is breaking into music. So, I mean, I guess in theory, I get why she was at the Grammys, but she's never crossed my FYP, so I didn't realize how big she was making it. I was confused as to why they had her perform in the back alley. I thought somebody was going to jump out and grab her. I also thought briefly that this performance was pre-recorded because it was just so strange. Like, she never came out to the Grammy stage, and it made me question if Cat's Eye's beginning of their performance was pre-recorded. Almost because like, yeah, they were back there and they were on the stage, but sometimes you could tell that they had recorded that at a different time. Regardless, in addition to the back alley, I think with the exception of seeing videos of her in like the black and white striped, almost like that Barbie bathing suit on stage, this is my first interaction with an Addison Rae performance with Addison Rae's music. And I can definitely see Britney's influence on her style and her means of performing and even in the music. But I also wonder, and this part is not even necessarily a critique, I wonder how much people are seeing Marina's influence during her Electra Heart Marina and the Diamonds influence, because that's what was jumping out at me in that performance. But yeah, just like in a back alley, what the fuck is going on? I have questions about the outfit, but it seems like from the few TikToks that I had seen of this woman, the outfits are always in heavy dispute. I wasn't wowed, but I'm getting up there, so maybe it's not for me. I don't know. Next, we have the tributes. We always have the tributes. The tributes always move me because you can't believe when you look back how many people we lost this year. And we had sort of three different segments of performance. The first was Reba performing Trailblazer. If you don't know, like, even when people compliment my hair, I'm like, I'm going for Reba this season. I love Reba McEntire, so I can't find a bad thing to say about her. I thought it was a great way to sort of introduce the tributes, and including her singing while her stepson, Brendan Blackstock's name was played behind her, I think was understated in a good way and very emotional and a very good intro to like, okay, we're shifting from that part of the show to this part of the show where we need to be a little bit more serious and think about the folks that we've lost over time. I thought it was impeccable. We then go into the Ozzy tribute. It's been such a long year, y'all. I didn't forget that we lost Ozzy this year. I think I forgot that we lost Ozzy this year, if that makes sense. So they had Slash and Duff from Guns N' Roses, Chad Smith from Red Hot Chili Peppers, Andrew Watt, and Post Malone as the vocalist. And this is where the tears started forming for me, to be quite frank, because the second they cut to Jack Kelly and Sharon, I already was misty-eyed. Anything with Slash in it has my interest. I'm rooting for everybody black. So I was already like, I saw Slash in the audience and I'm like, what is he doing? But it didn't occur to me like, oh, okay, the Ozzy Osbourne tribute, until he was on stage. I was surprised to see the Thanos of genres, Post Malone, up there, but he did fit in really well. I just didn't expect him there, if that makes sense. But they worked together really cohesively. Everybody on the stage did well, and I enjoyed the performance. And it was really moving that they started the tribute with a picture of Ozzy Osbourne, sort of as we would recognize him, or people my age would recognize him, a little bit older, still with the circle glasses, very like high energy. And then they lifted the stage to reveal the tribute. But they ended the tribute with a younger photo of Ozzy Osbourne, one where he doesn't have those glasses on. And it really humanized Ozzy Osbourne in a way that was kind of deeply moving. that I just didn't expect. And whoever made that choice made an amazing choice. Then we get into D'Angelo and Roberta Flack's tribute. Oh my God. And Lauryn Hill is on time. She's on time. She's on the stage. They say her name. She's there. And she's ready to rock and motherfucking roll for D'Angelo. And I'm so excited to see this. And she sort of opens it up with, you know, me and D'Angelo never got to perform this song together. Really value the people you have while they're here. And Nothing Even Matters is a very old song. Like, not very old. Let me not cast aspersions on people, but it's an older song. So the fact that they never got to perform it together seemed to be a regret of Lauryn Hill's. And this tribute in particular was star-studded and deeply, 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 deeply emotional. There was a slew of legends who showed up to pay tribute to D'Angelo, which, like, why wouldn't there be? We've talked about D'Angelo in some of my previous videos where it's like he was capable of making music that really, truly made you feel things. Not that other folks weren't, just D'Angelo was a titan. They cut to a piano. D'Angelo's not behind it. And it was a lot. And although it was not directly stated, it was also a celebration of Blackness. You could tell that they used this opportunity for D'Angelo and Roberta Flack to really, really bring forward Black folks, their space in music, how many legends we have. It was also an opportunity for people who didn't know D'Angelo per se, who know his music, to realize how many hits D'Angelo is responsible for, which I thought was a really good way to connect it. Because while most of us know, like, okay, Brown Sugar, Lady, like all of these songs are D'Angelo, other people know the songs and didn't really feel the weight of the loss that we experienced when losing D'Angelo, because they didn't realize that all of these songs were connected to him. They also use this opportunity, because obviously there's tributes playing in the background, to show Angie Stone's picture. People may feel really complicated about that. I even feel a little complicated about that. However, they passed away within the same year and they had a child together, and I cannot imagine what that child is going through. And so I think that seeing your mom during your dad's tribute would mean a lot to you, and so I get why they did it. During the Roberta Flack portion, Wyclef Jean is welcomed out by Lauryn Hill, and it's like, oh shit, oh sookie sookie, now what we about to get? They had great on-stage chemistry, regardless of whatever may be going on backstage. There was clearly a mutual respect there. The moment felt warm and it didn't feel forced, which is very hard to do if they're not on the same page right now, but it felt warm to the point where I think that maybe they are. They also performed the Fugees version of Killing Me Softly, which I'm sure was a treat to me from my house. So I can't even imagine how much of a treat it was to everybody that was there at the, what is it called? The Crypto Arena. Also free pros, free to guys. Hopefully we could get that. We had the opportunity to do the Fuji shit. We didn't get the Fuji shit to the full of our potential, and hopefully, you know, we can get that at some point. Then I just have a couple of honorable mentions. And so I wanted to honorably mention the Clips and Skateboard P's performance. It was very entertaining visually, and I found myself waiting for it all night because they kept sort of gassing it up. It was good to look at. The choir was there. It was all white during the choir moments. There was a red light during the times that the Clips were rapping, and I thought it was a really, really good visual representation of what their song was about. And whoever styled Pusha T and Malice did a really good job at differentiating them without overdoing it. It really shows the difference between the two rappers, the lives that they're leading, and the magic it is to have these two brothers come together and do these performances and create this album that has stirred up so much excitement and energy in the music community this year. Lady Gaga had a good performance of Abracadabra. It still had Gaga's signature flair, but it was more reserved than I'm used to seeing from Gaga. It was an amazing performance. I truly enjoyed it. It really showed the complication of the instrumentation and the things that they put together to make that album happen. But for some reason, I found myself asking if she was hurt just because there wasn't any dancing. But it was still a stunning performance, and I gave it an honorable mention because I also think that we just need to get acclimated to seeing Gaga perform in new and different and creative ways. Now, I've mentioned him before, but I just want to give his mere presence an honorable mention, and that's Bad Bunny. I cannot explain it, but his presence at the Grammys was very calming, despite the fact that he could not perform. Trevor Noah taught us that if you're doing the Super Bowl, you can't perform for the rest of the year. So it was very entertaining to watch Trevor Noah be like, I really wish you could perform. I want to see you perform. It was very funny. And he kind of did it with it. Like, it was a running joke that went on the whole night that I really enjoyed. And they addressed that Puerto Rico is technically part of the U.S. for the idiots in the back. It was short and sweet and to the point. It addressed the critique in a very sharp, now that that's out the way, let's enjoy the legend that is Bad Bunny sort of way that I really appreciated. And again, I was just glad that he was there. Lastly, I just have some general notes about the show. I would say that the Grammys compared to the Golden Globes was a lot more willing. Well, the artists and the people at the Grammys were more willing to address the political and societal state of this country right now. There was a lot more ice out commentary than we saw at the Golden Globes. And quite a few people just said flat out, fuck ice, which I enjoyed about the show. I think at a different time, I'd love to have a conversation about the role that musicians have played in any sort of revolution. We can't have that conversation right now, obviously, but I think that we see that in the contrast between what the Golden Globes look like and what the Grammys look like. Another note I have is I was truly hoping for more inclusion of Starline by Chance the Rapper. That was my personal album of the year, so you can't win them all. I was really hoping it was more represented there. But nevertheless, I will persist in this fight to get justice for Starline. Trevor Noah also announced that it's his last year. And that kind of makes me sad. I'm going to miss him as a host, but as he said, he personally believes in term limits. And I thought that that was a really funny way to put it. And he really did kind of put it out all on the floor that night at the Grammys in a way that says like over and out, Trevor Noah, I loved it. I loved it. I loved it. I did have a question. All of the like new artist of the year or whatever, they did one long performance. Like it was Addison Rae all the way, I believe, to Lola Young. And has that always been a thing? Just like this constant one long performance? If it has, I have not noticed it. It felt very long this year. It was just confusing to me. I'm not even saying I didn't like the performances because obviously one of them was one of my favorite performances of the night. I was just like, what the hell is going on? Like Addison Rae came out and then Cat's Eye popped up in the back alley and then it was just a lot, but maybe I'm just old and confused. Not necessarily a note or a critique, or maybe it is a note and a critique. I feel like we've seen Chappell Roan have a lot more to say in other spaces at different times. And I'm not saying that Chappell Roan has to be the spokesperson for one cause or another, but when she came up to present an award, she looked very, I don't want to be here. And there was no rocking the boat that, especially if we're getting it from other people, you probably would have expected from Chappell Roan at a time like this. It was just, there was a weird energy there, to be honest. And lastly, the Grammys is leaving CBS. And I don't know if this is a soft launch. I think award shows are sort of going out. They cost a lot of money to do, and people are not necessarily as gassed for them as they would be. Now, the Grammys is a hell of an award show to get rid of, but I do think we're going to start seeing like the decline of them. So that led me to wonder if this is a soft launch for the end of the Grammys, because they did a Grammys tribute at the end of the Grammys, like over the past couple of years, not even past couple of, the past few decades of Grammys being presented. It almost felt like a goodbye, but it could have just felt like this is a new chapter. We're leaving CBS. It's going to look differently. And if that is the case, if this does not mean it's the end of the Grammys, but instead the beginning of a new chapter, I'm very interested to see what's next for the Grammys, ways that they could spice it up and what that would look like. Overall, I would give the show 8 out of 10. And I'm someone who prefers like the VMAs, the BET Awards to the Grammys. I think the Grammys are a little bit stuffy for me at times. So please let me know who was your favorite performance and least favorite acceptance speech in the comments. This has all been a ramble. Thank you for joining me. As always, remember to go watch the most recent episode of Let Me Stay Focused podcast. There's a new episode every Wednesday with myself and Big Sashay. Make sure you like, hit the notification bell, and subscribe. And most importantly to me, leave me a damn comment because I want to discuss with you all. I had someone very close to me also say that I should emphasize like a little bit more. Please like this video. Please like it. And if you have not already, please don't forget to go check out my collab with Cindy Noir. We talk about Ryan Davis and sort of the conversations he had about his daughter, which is a really interesting and riveting conversation from my perspective. Make sure you check out my most recent video about what happened to pre-tweens and how do we get them back. This has been another video essay with Lil Lo. Over and out.